the young couple make their own history. They make their own mistakes. They're going to do things the way they want to do it. And it really doesn't pay because, we've all learned it the same way, and that's by trial and error. But I did quote from some poets and talked a little bit about Joshua growing up. Now, I'm not going to go into it now because I might get choked up, because I have to say, one of the things I did say on Saturday was, you expect that, many women get emotional at weddings. It's just, this is what happens. But I've never seen so many grown men cry. A happy sort of cry. At least I like to think they were happy.
I hope so.
But I tell you, I made a mistake today. I spoke to my son yesterday. I thought he was making had to be at the airport at 8:30 in the morning. So, lately I've been getting up extremely early. I called him up at 7 o'clock. Should have realized when the phone rang a few times that I better hang up. But I hear somebody pick up the phone and go, "Oh." I said, "Oh my goodness." I said, "What time do you have to be at the airport?" He said, "The flight's at 10:30. I said, "Oh boy." I really felt terrible for waking them up, or waking him up at least.
Well,
but, he had texted me and told me every stage of the way, when they got to the airport, when he finished with the TSA, when they landed in Miami, and they had a 2.5-hour layover, and then the rest of the flight to Grenada, which is where they are going to be honeymooning.
I must admit, I don't know anybody that's been to Grenada yet.
Well, it's certainly a first. And why don't you tell us about your son? Matthew went away.
Yeah, he went ahead and he decided to go join your son.
To Grenada?
No, just since he's going to have a good time, he decided to go to Costa Rica and have a good time with his girlfriend.
Where would they all be without girlfriends?
Yeah, I know. No, the smart thing is that they both should have gone to the same place. Then they would have had a really good time. Except the girls would have been sitting around complaining as these guys go off and do guy things. So it's probably not a good idea to do it. What else, ladies and gentlemen? We were going to a low because Marc is starting to concentrate on his phone. You could always tell.
I'm waiting for people to call up. I can't talk anymore because how many times am I going to repeat the same thing? Why don't you tell us about your wedding, Felix?
My wedding?
Yeah.
Who the hell knows about my wedding? I don't even know anything about it. I got married so long ago.
Are you sure you're actually married?
I got married in 1975. What did you get married?
The first time?
Sure.
71.
Second time?
83. 83.
Third time?
There hasn't been one yet.
Okay.
No. Twice is enough.
When I went on vacation and my honeymoon, I got married in Playview, and I went to Antigua on my honeymoon, which I've been back to at least once. I'm not sure, maybe twice. Now, I used to work for the airlines, an airline called Eastern Airlines. It used to be a pretty big airline. It went out of business before Pan Am did. And that's what they did. They concentrated on the East mostly. They went everywhere, but they concentrated on the East.
Wasn't Neil Armstrong the
Neil
president
Armstrong,
of...
Neil Armstrong.
Well, Neil Armstrong was one of our original Mercury astronauts.
And he was a CEO or something for a while with Eastern Airlines. So I've had a chance to fly to a lot of islands. I've gone to Bermuda quite a few times, Dominican Republic, St. Martin, St. Lucia, Antigua, Jamaica. I don't remember what else. And Costa Rica. And the Dominican Republic.
Well, but what about your wedding? That's what we're talking about. What do you remember? I mean, was there any glitch at all? Were there in-law problems? Did the parents get along? Did they agree?
Well, it was a very peaceful wedding as far as nobody really argued. I have a funny story. I have a friend of mine who brought his date there, but met somebody else during the wedding.
And went home with someone else?
Worse. Went into the bride's room and locked himself with his girl that he met there.
Oh, God. I don't think we're set up to tell stories like that over the air.
I assume I don't know.
Is it possible that I know who this person was? I can only think of one person.
It's possible you might know who
oh,
it is.
My God.
Yes, very possible.
Oh, my God.
If there's anything that happens that's weird, strange...
This guy did.
This guy does it. And he didn't think there's anything wrong with it. They hit it off. What's he supposed to do? Get it on. I don't know.
Well, what happened going home? That's what I want to know. Did one of the ladies sit in the back or what?
We want to know why during the wedding there was ruckus. Somebody knocking on the sounded like somebody knocking on the door.
Well, you know what that reminds me of? You remember The Godfather with Sonny Corleone?
I don't
know. James Caan. James Caan was Sonny Corleone. At his sister's wedding, he's banging one of the maids of honor. You know, and that was Hollywood, folks. But this is reality. This is before reality television.
You know, I could say some things about this gentleman, but...
Can we call him a gentleman after something like this? I don't know.
I'm not sure, but...
it's a good thing he doesn't listen to the show.
And if he does...
And if he does, he'd probably call up and say, you know, you're right.
It was fun, too.
Well, for him, I'm sure it was.
I believe the girl that he was with has passed away since.
Which one?
The one he was physically with that... passed away. It's very strange, to say the least. But anyway, otherwise, you know, I'm trying to remember what our wedding song was. I'm sure it was Chicago.
Just heard from my son. Might as well, so we can tell him that we read this over the show. Hey all, landed 40 minutes ago and just checked into our hotel room. Just keeping you up to date. Phones will be off. See you all in a week. Love you very much. Bye-bye.
That's very nice of him to text you that he's back at a hotel already. Was he in a hotel?
Well, I tell you, 9:30. Figure 9:30. Okay, this whole thing started 11 hours ago.
Yeah.
So, with a 2.5-hour layover. All right, so we're looking like at 8.5 hours or so in airtime. Give or take. give or take.
Well, that's one of the reasons why I don't like to go to places that you don't fly to directly.
But you ought to know, being in the business, how difficult it is to find direct flights now.
Well, yeah, Granada is actually not that popular of a place yet. So, yeah, it'd be harder to go there.
I know there are some cadavers that are just dying to get into the medical school, you know.
Yeah, right. There are other islands, the more traveled islands, Jamaica.
And you could probably get a direct flight from there.
From where?
To there. Jamaica.
Yeah, Jamaica, Dominican Republic,
Costa Rica.
Costa Rica.
Costa Rica's been very popular the last year or so, I would say.
More than that. Dominican Republic, let's see, St. Lucia is direct, Bahamas is direct.
I know Mariano Rivera, former Yankee relief pitcher and all-time great relief pitcher. I mean, he's invited everybody down to his... he's going to buy that island one of these days.
What's the Dominican Republic?
Yeah.
They also have a good well, I don't know how good it is, but they also have a medical school that a lot of Americans go to.
Not in the Dominican Republic?
Yes. There is a medical school in the Dominican Republic. Because I met some of the students. And I believe it's taught in English.
Like I said, I couldn't say because I don't know. The only one I know of, and this was, I think, in 1976, was when it opened. Either 1976 was when it opened, or it had its first graduating class, and that is the St. George's Medical School in Grenada. Taught in English. Okay. And it's not all that easy to get into. It's highly competitive to get in there because it's so competitive to get into American schools. And this is a school where they teach in English. Okay, not far from our shores. So, this person was in their first graduating class.
A friend of mine graduated from Guadalajara Medical School in Mexico.
Very, very common. The problem with Guadalajara...
You have to learn Spanish.
Because, well, yes, it's taught in Spanish, and I have to tell you, a couple of friends of ours graduated also from Guadalajara, and one of our friends, who's a doctor, said she never saw some of those faces attend any classes because, attendance was not mandatory. As long as you showed up to take your exams, okay, your time was pretty much your own, which is like almost unheard of, But a lot of people in Mexico and Guadalajara did not do well because they studied in English and did not know enough Spanish so that when they took their tests, which were given in Spanish, they really didn't understand the question and didn't know how to go about answering it. So they didn't do themselves any service whatsoever.
Like I told my friend did study Spanish hard, and he went there. He's not the one that went to medical school for anything, but he wanted to make big bucks. And once he got his license in the States, and he went through his internship and all that, he started a diet center.
Started what?
A diet center.
Really? Well, those things, now they're very popular, but back in the day, the Atkins diet and things like that, many books are written. Yeah. The old Air Force diet, which is low carbs or no carbs.
That's St. Atkins diet. Same thing.
Stay away from anything white. No rice, no pasta, no bread.
They say it now, too. Same thing.
I know.
It could be the diabetics diet, too.
That's very true.
But anyway, needless to say, as I said, my